Welcome back. Have you ever spent hours thinking about a decision only to end up exactly where you started? Maybe you've been debating whether to apply for a promotion, launch a business, hire a team member, leave a job, set a boundary, or finally start a project you've been thinking about for months. Meanwhile, someone else seems to make decisions instantly and move forward without hesitation. If you've ever wondered why this happens, you're not alone. Today, we're talking about the science of indecision, why some people freeze while others act quickly, and most importantly, what you can do about it. Many women in leadership assume that indecision is a confidence problem, but neuroscience tells us something different. Indecision is often the result of how our brains process uncertainty, risk, and fear. In fact, some of the most intelligent and capable leaders struggle the most with decision making. Why? Because they see multiple perspectives, they anticipate consequences, they care deeply about people, and they want to make the right choice. What feels like caution can slowly turn into analysis paralysis. Let's start with what's happening in the brain. When we face a difficult decision, the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for reasoning, planning, and judgment, gets to work evaluating options. At the same time, the amygdala, the brain's threat detection center, is scanning for danger. The problem is that the brain often interprets uncertainty as a threat. Not knowing the outcome can feel uncomfortable. The amygdala begins sounding an alarm. What if this doesn't work? What if people judge me? What if I fail? What if I make the wrong choice? The result is that we start gathering more information, then more information, and then even more information. But eventually, information stops helping and starts overwhelming. Research shows that too many choices can actually increase anxiety and reduce satisfaction. Psychologist Barry Schwartz called this the paradox of choice. The more options we have, the harder it becomes to choose. Many women leaders experience this every day. They aren't lacking intelligence. They are carrying the weight of responsibility. They're thinking about their teams, their families, their organizations, their careers, and every possible outcome. Another important concept is the difference between maximizers and satisficers. Maximizers want the absolute best choice. They research every option, compare every possibility, and continue questioning their decision even after they've made it. Satisficers are different. They look for an option that meets their criteria. Once they find something that is good enough, they move forward. Interestingly, research shows that maximizers often experience more stress, more regret, and less satisfaction with their decisions. The goal is not to become careless. The goal is to stop demanding perfection, because perfection is often what keeps us stuck. I see this frequently with women leaders. A leader is considering applying for a senior role. She's qualified, she's respected, she's capable. Yet she spends months asking herself if she's ready. Meanwhile, someone with fewer qualifications applies immediately. The difference isn't competence, the difference is often certainty. And certainty is something most leaders never truly have. The truth is that confidence does not come before action. Confidence comes from action. Psychologist Albert Bandura's research on self-efficacy found that people develop confidence through experiences of success. In other words, we become confident by doing difficult things, not by waiting until we feel confident enough. So what can we actually do? Let's talk about practical strategies. The first is the 70% rule. Former Secretary of State Colin Powell and business leaders like Jeff Bezos have discussed making decisions when roughly 70% of the information is available. Many leaders wait for 90 or 100% certainty. The problem is that by the time you have that information, the opportunity may have passed. The next time you're stuck, ask yourself, do I have enough information to make a reasonable decision? Not a perfect decision, a reasonable decision. If the answer is yes, move forward. The second strategy is using the 10-10-10 method. Ask yourself 3 questions. How will I feel about this decision 10 minutes from now? How will I feel about it 10 months from now? How will I feel about it 10 years from now? This creates psychological distance. What feels overwhelming today may seem insignificant a year from now. This exercise helps reduce emotional intensity and improves perspective. The third strategy is setting decision deadlines. Open-ended decisions invite overthinking. Many people say things like, I'll decide when I feel ready. The problem is that readiness is often a moving target. Instead, create a deadline. Say, I will make this decision by Friday at 4 p.m., or I will choose by the end of this week. Deadlines prevent endless mental looping. The fourth strategy is learning to distinguish between reversible and irreversible decisions. Jeff Bezos describes these as two-way doors and one-way doors. Most decisions are actually two-way doors. You can change course, adjust, pivot, or try something different later, yet we treat every decision as permanent. The next time you're stuck, ask yourself, can I change this later if needed? If the answer is yes, you probably don't need to spend another month analyzing it. The fifth strategy is limiting your options. Many leaders believe more choices create better outcomes. Research suggests otherwise. When you have 10 options, narrow them to 3. When you have 3 options, narrow them to 2. The fewer choices you have, the easier it becomes to decide. Another powerful strategy is changing your self-talk. Many leaders unknowingly ask themselves questions that increase anxiety. Instead of asking, what if I fail? Ask, what will I learn? Instead of asking, what if people disagree? Ask, what aligns with my values? Instead of saying, I need the perfect answer, say, I need the next reasonable step. These small shifts change how the brain interprets uncertainty. They move you from fear into action. If you're someone who struggles with indecision, I want you to remember this. The goal is not to eliminate fear. The goal is to act despite uncertainty. Every successful leader you admire has made imperfect decisions, every one of them. The difference is that they didn't allow uncertainty to stop them. They trusted themselves to adapt, to learn, to adjust, and to keep moving forward. Leadership is not about always being right. Leadership is about being willing to move. The science of indecision teaches us that waiting for certainty often keeps us trapped. Clarity frequently comes after action, not before it. So today, think about one decision you've been postponing. Maybe it's a conversation, a boundary, a project, a career move, a hiring decision, a business idea. Ask yourself, what is the next reasonable step? Then take it. Not next month, not when you feel perfectly ready, today. Because every decision you make strengthens your ability to make the next one. And that is how confidence is built, one decision at a time. Thank you for listening, and if this episode resonated with you, share it with another woman leader who may be stuck in overthinking and ready to move forward with confidence. Make sure to like, subscribe, and grab my free leadership workbook, 5 Steps to Communicate with Calm, Clarity, and Confidence at powerofpeacefulness.com. Until next time, take a deep breath, embrace the present moment, and keep walking your path to peace.